and Hot is presented by Botano. The game starts now. Here are your hosts, Brent Wallace, Jason York, and Bobby Ryan.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the show. I'm Brent Wallace alongside Jason York and Bobby Ryan, who's currently under a severe tornado storm warning. So, Bobby, I guess if we hear the sirens, you're out of here.
Yeah, if I take off running, but I'm looking outside right now, and it's not as overcast as it was, and it's supposed to get bad again this afternoon. But I forewarned everybody if I do have to run, it's for that reason and that reason alone. But I think we made it through the worst of it.
Wild. Like, and Yorkie, you lived in Nashville too. I don't know what it's like to live under a tornado warning, I guess.
Yeah, it's not fun. It almost took our roof off back when we were there. It gets loud, and all of a sudden, like when you're from Canada, like you're not used to crap like that. So I feel you, Bobby. Get low, find the lowest spot in the house if it's coming.
That's it. Yeah, no, I had it all set up last night just in case I heard the sirens and had to run, or at least the warnings go off. But nothing came, so it was a good night. And then it looks like it's going to be okay. I'm watching. If I'm looking down, it's because I'm watching and everything looks fine. But the wind's picking back up again, so we'll see.
Fair enough. And hey, by the way, it'll still be better Wi-Fi than Yorkie, so we're all good. This show is.
I've got everything turned off in the house. Everything's off. It's the only thing. Everything's unplugged. This is the only Wi-Fi that's being streamed right now, so we're good.
Okay, we shall see. I put money. It would be a good time to bet on Botano right now if Yorkie's Wi-Fi pauses. But I'll take the over at 1. Bobby, will you take the over or under on Yorkie's
I'm taking
Wi-Fi?
the over. Okay, I can't even go against you. I cannot go against you.
This show is always brought to you by Botano.ca. Go to Botano, download the app. The game starts now. Botano always. Lots of great storylines and lines on the games, including tonight, Friday night's game, which is against Chicago. We'll get to that at the end with our lock of the day, which I, by the way, am now known as the smartest man in hockey since Yorkie has lost significantly of late. You were 12-1. You're now 13-6, Yorkie. Like, what happened?
Well, you got to understand, the smartest man in hockey is all encompassing. It's not just betting, because betting. Betting you will eventually lose. The house always wins. There's many other facets, Wally. It's about player identification. It's about the betting. Hey, I'll never proclaim to be a great bettor, and especially what's going on right now with this team, man. It's like, come on, you had no business winning both those games on the weekend. By the way, like what was it? 46 shots Mandalese stopped. 40. I
think he had 46. Yeah, 46 saves.
Yeah, good for the kid. But come on, like that's not happening.
Just running on adrenaline. Yeah.
Well, when it comes to that stuff, by the way, our guest today, Andrew Hammond, we'll ask him about being thrown into the fire and what all transpires. Kevin Mandalese, that's the fifth most saves in your NHL debut. So. That's a pretty good start for him. Also for Matt Sogard, who won the game before. So you know what? We're going to get to I know he's waiting, so we're going to get to Andrew Hammond. As always, though, this show brought to you by – hang on one sec, Alex. Hi, Hammy. Nice to see you. This show brought to you by Renfrew Pro Tape. Go to renfrewpro.com, download, and you can check out their website. They have boxes you can buy of tape if you want, and all kinds. You can find them at major retailers, Canadian Tire, Sport Check, Pro Hockey Life. Go to renfrewpro.com. And then, of course, on Instagram, where they have Free Tape Friday. Renfrew Pro, feel the game. They're the ones with the green court. Okay. We showed them a little bit. But now back by popular demand, Andrew Hammond. Sir, how are you?
I'm doing good. Glad Bob's staying safe. And as I said, make sure you get to the bottom of the 5 floors you probably got there, too, if something bad happens. So good to be back.
It's a long run down the stairs, but I'll get there. Good to see you, buddy.
Don't get stuck in the elevator.
Do you have Bobby, do you have any comfort stuff in the shelter? You got like a big
Dot's
plasma
present
set up?
always threw Dots No, God, no. The comfort, like a comfort food. I got Dots pretzels and a 1 liter of water, a 1 liter of water. So I'm good. That's about as comfortable as it gets in there.
Mr. Hammond, congratulations on your retirement, which you just announced. Also, you just turned 35 on your birthday. You're retired now, which means, of course, you live in Florida.
Yeah, just following the, I guess, what you're supposed to do. No, I mean, this was kind of just supposed to be a temporary thing, and all of a sudden we're just down here permanently now. But I haven't checked the weather in Ottawa lately, but right now it's pretty comfortable where I am, so I can't complain too much.
Have you started golfing? Is that what you're like? What does the retired Andrew Hammond do?
Well, I couldn't golf all summer because of my ankle. So I had some friends in town last week, finally started it up again. It wasn't pretty, but first week in, I don't know, almost 2 years now. So on to newer and better things, and the handicap can only get lower.
Yeah, well, that's not true entirely. But I was gonna say, have you started golfing now? Wally asked.
Really?
Every single chance we got to golf while we played together, and Hammy was setting games up. You know, him and Stoner, myself, Cease. There was a lot of golf games mid-season when Hammer was playing with us.
Got to be the worst golfer who loves golf the most, probably. I would say that would fit my description.
Yeah, that's what I always think about you when you golf.
Who is the guy, Bobby?
Loves the game. Tries hard and loves the game.
Hammer, were you that guy? Were you the guy that when you guys were somewhere and you had a day off or something, were you the guy that was calling the pros, setting stuff up? Were you that guy?
Yeah, but I didn't have as much pull, so it was like, I remember one time we were in San Jose, we showed up at this like municipal golf course, and I think I dragged out Hoff, and Weidman was there too, and I asked if they had rentals, and they had nice rentals for the righties, but Hoff's a lefty, and it was like the pro shop's dad's grandpa's like driver, irons, everything, and Hoff looked at it, and it was like a Twizzler in his hand, just like couldn't even believe he was even still playing. It was hilarious, but I would try to. We tried playing whenever we had a day off and stuff. It was fun though.
Nice.
I didn't know you were that big a golfer.
I mean, I'm not. I try to play as much, but for whatever reason, I need to play less and practice more. And so far, I haven't come to that part of my life where I'm willing to make that sacrifice.
All right, fair enough. I don't know if you know. Do you know what today is? February 16th. Does that ring a bell to you at all?
And I know it's like around now. I don't know the exact date. I know it's middle of February, though, give or take.
On this date, in 2015, Clark MacArthur collides with Robin Lehner near the end of the second period, and in comes one Andrew Hammond, who makes his NHL debut. Although, I should point out, you did allow 2 goals on 5 shots or 3 goals on 5 shots.
And I should point out that wasn't actually my NHL debut. It was the year before.
Oh, that's right.
First game.
Yeah. Close enough.
Walk it back, Wally.
Let's redo the show.
Come on, Wally. You're supposed to be prepared.
Did you have any thought of what was about to transpire in Carolina for you?
Well, firstly, it was actually pretty scary when that whole thing happened because they were both just completely out of it. And I mean, I obviously knew I was next man up, but they called the period with like 2.5 minutes left, and we ended up playing the third period for I think like 22:30, and in between, like people were speaking to him in English and he was responding in Swedish, so I obviously knew there was like a head injury, concussion type thing. So I knew what that meant. I knew where Craig was at that point. I knew that I'd be playing, and I guess managing the emotions a little bit was kind of hard at that point, knowing that like, holy cow, like I'm the guy now, and I hadn't played at all. I'd been up for I think 3 weeks, hadn't played me, and so dealing with, I guess, kind of just like the mental part of it was hard that game, and I think that's part of the reason why I played crappy in the third. But the good thing is it felt like I kind of got my feet wet and got the nerves out of the way, so that then the next game we played Montreal, it was kind of a little bit easier. And so when I saw what happened this year with them, I thought it was good that Sogard got to play a little bit in the third and kind of get his feet wet again after not playing for a little while and see the speed and all that stuff, even if it was only a few minutes. But people have asked if I see the similarities for sure.
I
answered
think
my
too,
question.
like,
Do you
we weren't winning that game after the incident, right? After Clark and Robin went back, because we got back to that. They called the period, obviously, like Hammy said, and we got back there, and that room was, you could hear a pin drop in that room. And guys get hurt all the time, but that one was different. So he had nothing going on in front of him for the third period. It was set up for failure, and whatever it was, 2 goals on 5 shots. I don't know the exact stat, but it, like Hammer just said, it was a good thing because we all got it out of the way, and he could start his run, and we could start the run that he took us on the next night.
So then I guess, what was it like? I mean, I've asked this question before to players, and I think of the latest being like Scott Sabern and also Mark Borowiecki, as we know well, about guys who, and Anton Forsberg, you see leave on stretchers, or that are seriously hurt. How do you recover from that to play? I understand you're professionals, you're supposed to just go play, but that's never really the case. You've all had to play through those, I'm assuming, at some point.
Yeah, I mean, you just feel like you have a pit in your stomach almost.
Yeah.
There's always a few people that, I mean, you'll go make sure guys are okay, but you see a guy on the training table kind of thing, and it's like the people around are just kind of giving each other the eyes, like, yes, it's good, no, it's not good. And I don't know, it's hard, but you just try and, still do your job and compartmentalize as much as you can. But like, I think back to, obviously not quite as serious of a situation, but like in the NFL this year with the DeMar Hamlin thing, like, I don't know how those guys would have come back. Like, that's more life or death than a lot of these things. It's more just worrying about their day-to-day life, how they're going to be for a week, 2 weeks, a month, however long it might be. And it's hard when you see a teammate go down and having to try and still do your job. And as soon as they get taken off the ice, the puck drops, play starts again. No one else really, the other team isn't necessarily going to be too affected for the most part usually, but it's not the easiest thing for sure.
And Hammer, when you go in there too, being a goalie, you're all by yourself back there, so you're alone with your thoughts. You're thinking about different things than the rest of the guys are on the bench. But how about this one with goaltenders? I always hear this because with players, when you get called up, the adjustment it's pretty big. I heard you say something when Sogard came in. It was good that he got a chance to get used to the speed. When goalies come up from the AHL, how much of a difference or adjustment is because I hear sometimes say it's easier because people are in the right spots. The D zone's a little bit better. Is the gap that big when you come up to get used to it from the AHL to the NHL?
Yes and no. It's a lot faster, but at the same time, it's a little bit more predictable. It's pretty chaotic in the American League. So I think if you have a decent understanding of what the right hockey play is, it can almost be a little bit easier. Like, guys are the best in the world. They're going to make the right play 9 times out of 10, if not more. In the American League, it might be 7 times out of 10. So if you have a good structure in your game and you kind of play to the percentages a little bit, but then also just kind of, it's a fine line of reacting and reading, but it's the speed, I think, is the biggest adjustment when you first come up. And I think it even more than when you come up, when you go down from being in the NHL to the American League, it seems so slow. And that's probably the biggest difference. It's almost harder going down than it is coming up.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. And that's the I always found that, my experience in the American League wasn't overly long, but every time in that first year I went up and down, however many times was the cap is the amount of times I did it. But I always got down to the American League. I was like, oh my God, you have no idea where the next guy's going or what he's doing. And the structure says to do this, and so-and-so is just off on a tangent doing what they're doing. And you're just like, pucks are going all over the place. Bodies are flying. You're like, can I go back up, please? Not even for the money side of things. I just want to stay healthy. Like, cause you have no clue who is on a PTO for that one individual week that wants to run somebody through the wall.
Oh, Bobby, try playing in the 90s.
Sorry, it was almost like you didn't even need a team pre-scout. You just needed to know like who the tough guys are, who the scorers are. You just needed to
It's so exactly. Stay away from this guy and take the puck away from the other guy.
So when you came up, you said you sat on the bench for a while, and if I'm not mistaken, and I don't know if you were ever told anything, I found out later like no one was expecting you to play in any game while Andy was hurt. It was just supposed to be Robin Lehner until he got back. Were you ever told that you may not play or any of that?
I wasn't told, but this is a kind of a funny story that I don't know if I've told before. Like when I had first signed out of college, it was a 2-way deal and all this stuff. And in like November, start of December of that year, they had talked about basically signing me to the same contract again. And they came down to a game. I think we were playing Toronto or something, and I didn't play great. And I was under the impression that it was basically like the following week I'd be signing the same thing. And they basically pulled it off the table. And then I didn't really know what was going to happen. I knew they weren't happy with me when they basically said they weren't going to re-sign me. And then when I kind of got forced in, it was like, this was the greatest thing ever. Like you think it's the worst thing happening to you that you're losing on a contract, but then obviously it turned out to be the best thing for me. But there wasn't a lot of communication. I was just kind of going about my business, trying to work as hard as I could. And if I got a chance, whether it be 5 minutes relief, 15 minutes or a game, I was just hoping that I'd be ready.
Were you and Robin Lehner close? I know because you replaced him in games a few times. Obviously the injury, but a few other times he got pulled. Was there like, and he's a fiery competitor. So was he okay with you being around?
Yeah, we actually had a good relationship. I mean, he's as you said, he's a fiery guy, but to me, I felt like he always tried helping me out, giving me guidance. And it's funny to an extent because he played so young. Like I was older than him, but he was the one giving me advice on certain things. So the other thing though is like once I started playing, he wasn't around a lot just because of what he was dealing with his head and the concussion and stuff. So I didn't see a ton of him around then, but I've seen him since, and we still have a good relationship and seen my weddings and different things, and always gotten along really well.
Good stuff.
Robin's one of those guys. I was just wrapping that up. Robin is very, very fiery and competitive, but I actually think, and I don't know, and I would think that he'd be the first person in your corner if you were backing him up and going in his relief, because he just wants to win. So he's a nut job that just wants to win.
Very eloquent.
I'll wait to ask what you.
Very eloquent.
I'll ask it. For you to describe Hammy in a sec here. Time for Tale of the Tape, brought to you by Renfrew Pro Tape. Go to renfrewpro.com. This is where we learn a little bit more, and I've tried to find some different notes about you, but not everybody knows the whole entire Hammy story. So, Alex, do we have Tale of the Tape ready to go? Here we go. First goalie in NHL history to win 21 of 27 games. Oh, it's a live shot. We've never done this before. Best save percentage in franchise history, a minimum of 50 games played. It's at .923. 20, one of three goalies since 2010-11 to win 20 games in a season for the Ottawa Senators. And 2,143. That's the days between your NHL games from the April 16 to February 22nd, which I think speaks to the perseverance that you had as a goaltender and as a person. And I just like, that's nearly 6 years. And did you ever think that day was going to come, and ended up being Montreal, that you were going to get back in an NHL net?
To be honest, not. I mean, half the reason we're in Florida right now is because we're getting prepared to go overseas to play. So yeah, I mean, I think the turning point on when I kind of started to lose hope a little bit was like the COVID year where I got stuck on the taxi squad in Minnesota the whole season, didn't play. And it was almost like I didn't even know if I was going to get a contract after that. And fortunately, they re-signed me for last season. And when I got traded, though, it was like the day after my birthday. It wasn't even close to be on my radar. And it was like, you got to be on a plane in 4 hours. So it was a lot to digest, and not the best day for it to happen, but it all ended up being a blessing in disguise. And my time in Montreal was actually great, and it's funny, like some of the stuff up there I didn't even know about as far as the records and crap like that. But I do like to joke that I'm the winningest goalie in Montreal Canadiens history, because I played 3 games and I went 3-0. So I can add that to the tape.
I was gonna joke about that. Yeah,
it's funny how it all like, I mean, I'm the last person that ever would have expected to have a record, and I don't want to be self-deprecating or anything, but like, I never expected any of it. So it's funny now that I can kind of laugh about all that stuff.
Are you okay talking all the time about the Hamburglar run? It's become, I guess, if you mention it, everybody knows you, but I don't know if it becomes, you don't want to always be just known as that guy. But I mean, I guess you tell me.
No, I'm fine with it. I mean, the nickname itself, I never envisioned taking on the life it did, but if the nickname's not there, like, I don't think there's really that much memory about me specifically. It's the Sens run in 16. Like, I've kind of stolen the storyline with that, just by having a nickname that I guess people latch on to. So I have no issue talking about that season. It was a lot of fun. It was.
I disagree too.
You went.
You can be.
You went 21-2.
But yeah, you might have taken us on a ride, but we're fine. Yeah, our run was great, but I think a lot of it had to do with you. So yeah, you can keep it.
Like, you went. You tied. I mean, you've heard the other stuff. Tied Frank Brimzik in 1938-39 to be the first goalie to win or go 11-0-1 in your first 12 starts. And then you were the first goalie in NHL history to earn a point in your first 15 starts at 14-0-1, a 1.67 goals against average, a 9.46 save percentage. I think you were the one that stole the show. You were NHL Player of the Month. It's okay. You can pat yourself on the back a little bit. Although Bobby, I looked up the notes. You did help. You had 4 goals and 13 points, I think, or 4 goals, 9 assists in those 23 games.
Yeah, it wasn't. I actually remember going through a little bit of a mini slump. Yeah, I wasn't playing my best hockey at the time. I think I scored in Hammer's first game in Winnipeg, and then it was a while before I did again. I like to think I played my part in the shootouts during that time. That was because we got to quite a few of them. So I was the shootout guy that came in and cleaned up after Turi. Hopefully, had scored the first one.
I actually remember that, Bobby. You liked the high glove, didn't you? You liked coming in and going the high glove. Were you a high glove guy?
So everybody's told me that, and if you go back through it, no. I would make the move and then. Yeah, that was backhand, forehand, and then if I had to go high, I could. But most of I'll never forget. Ray Emery was playing against us, and we really needed the 2 points to move into a playoff spot during that run. And Ray Emery made a business decision when I got down there and just decided, if Bobby's beating me, it's going to be 5-hole, because I'm not going down and I'm not taking the bait. So he started with a poke check, and I just shot at 5-hole. And I looked back at him as I was skating by, and he's like, "Wasn't happening. You were not," because I had him in Anaheim. He was like, "You were not doing that to me." So yeah, but anyway, I helped a little bit, but not an overly big amount.
Hey, Hammer. I watched all those games. I was retired by then. I was doing, I think I was working for Sportsnet. But can you go back in your career? Because I was looking at your stats, and obviously that's the best run you've ever had. But is there a time in your career somewhere where, maybe in junior, where you got that hot before? Like, when you think about your career?
Yeah, only once. My last year of junior A, I was playing with Vernon, and I think I had like basically the same stats, and I got like, it was almost like shutouts in like 4 of 6 games, and we won the national championship that year. And even the last game, I got a shutout again, and it was just every game. Didn't matter if there was 50 shots, 20 shots. It was like 950 save percentage every night. That's like the only other time I've really had that feeling kind of thing, where it's just you're just flowing, and it's, I mean, I think part of it's like if you're playing well and you're playing every night, you just get into like, it's so easy. And like, I was watching the new Netflix golf thing, the Full Swing, and like Brooks Koepka was talking, he's like, I guarantee you Scotty Scheffler isn't thinking about a single thing, and then it like pops over to him, and like that's what it is. Like when you're going like that, you're not thinking about like, what am I doing with my glove? Where am I on the ice? You're just playing, and it's just such a good spot to be in. But when you're not there, it feels like it's the hardest thing in the world to get back to. And that's exactly kind of, I guess, how being a goalie, what it is. Like that's in a nutshell. When it's good, it's easy, it's great. When it's hard, it feels impossible.
It's so true. So here's the other question: when you were going through this streak, were you talking to anybody, or did people just leave you alone? So you know what? Don't talk to them. Like, did you have a mental coach? Were you talking to the goalie coach? Or were you just, like you said, you're so thinking so purely that it was just you doing it on your own?
No, I mean, Bobby might have a different, I guess, vision of it, but for me, it was like I was out being myself, doing all the normal things I would do. I wasn't acting like superstitious or anything. I was just kind of, I mean, if I needed a Red Bull or something, I would drink it. It's not like, oh, I don't do that or whatever. I was just kind of going with the flow. And I mean, in some ways, it just felt like I couldn't do anything wrong. So I could kind of do what I wanted, almost like kind of just go with the flow. And it was the most fun hockey or time I've had playing hockey. And it just felt super easy. So I tried talking to the guys. It wasn't like anyone truly left me alone or anything like that. And I feel like for the most part, I think guys felt that way too.
Yeah, it was weird that, you have a goalie on this kind of run and you're like, nobody talk to him. Just let him go about his business. And Hammer was like one of the most normal goalies ever. He's like, beers? Anybody want to go for a beer? Want to do this, that? And you're like, no, go home. Don't talk to anybody. Go home. But one of the easiest goalies I've ever had, for sure.
So how do goalies get away with that, Hammer? Like, I started doing TV. You come into the pregame skate. Oh, you can't talk to this guy. I'm like, the guy's going to go home and have a nap, play with his kids, eat a lunch, have a sleep for 3 hours. Like, come on, that's got to be bullshit. The not talking to the goalie in the morning. Like, give me a break.
I mean, one of my biggest pet peeves are the thought that all goalies are weird. So maybe I've gone completely against the grain where I just try being the complete opposite of that. But I mean, my wife would disagree that I'm a total weirdo, but I feel like I try being as normal as possible, and it's not. I mean, it's just kind of. I mean, you gotta embrace who you are, and I feel like even though I've taken a few pucks to the head, I still feel like I'm a pretty normal guy who likes simple things. And I'm not gonna run from that, I guess.
So, did you like the attention from us, the media, because you were surrounded? I'm gonna say nearly every day. There was a rare day that you didn't speak. And did you embrace that, or you're like, oh, the same question again? How did I get this win?
I didn't mind it. I mean, it comes with the territory when you're kind of doing, I guess, what I was doing at that point. But at the same time, it was fun for me because I think I was still doing things to an extent where I was still having fun with it. Like the one that sticks out to me is like, it was only like the third or fourth game. It was like I said something along the lines of like, no one expected a goalie battle between Jonathan Quick and the Hamburglar, and like he'd won a cup the year before. And like that's me like finding a way to laugh at myself that like this is funny what's happening right now. But I think throughout that time, like I tried having fun with it, and as much as I would give cliche answers for the sake of it to not cause a stir or something, there was times where I would still try having fun with it. And I think that's kind of the way you have to go about it. If you start taking things too serious, and going back to your previous question, I mean, I just tried having fun with it.
Yeah. Because you and I would sit afterwards and just chat, which I always enjoyed. And we would just tell jokes or shoot the shit about stuff. I found that entertaining. But here you are going through this run, and you're just a guy just having a chat, which I always appreciated. I just felt that you were just normal, which was nice. So before I move on to this year's integration of the Hamburglar Run Part 2, is that start against Montreal, your first NHL start, what was that like for you? Did you nap okay? Was everything all like? Did anything feel different?
It feels different. You're kind of like, all right, well, I've done everything I can do. Here we go. We'll see how this goes. Like, you've prepared everything, but there's still that like unnerving little bit to it. And I guess I'll help you kind of segue into it is like, Ian Mendez talked to me the other day about like what these guys are going through. And I'm like, to be honest, my only advice would be like make a small goal, like get to the first TV timeout. And then after that, get to like the 10-minute mark and just try and like inch your way through the game. So that like at the end of it, maybe like you kind of have something that you can look back on, but at the time, like you're just trying to stay in the moment where you're not worrying about like, holy cow, like there's still 45 minutes left in this game. Like what's going on? So that was like my biggest advice. But like the Montreal game was truly like, if I'm being honest, like I got lucky in the first twice where it could have easily been 2-0 Montreal and we're not sitting here today. But thankfully the hockey gods were looking over me a little bit and settled in after that, and was able to kind of put together some pretty good hockey. And I think it's just about getting off on the right. As long as you start well, I think it gives you a chance to succeed. If you start poorly, it's a lot harder to battle back.
Yeah.
Your third and fourth game, you guys go on the road, and I know you know this, but you get your first NHL shutout, and then you don't go back to back. What's your shutout feel like? Are you counting down from like the 15-minute mark going, can we just get through this game?
No, not really. But by that point, it was kind of like I had settled in a little bit. I think just getting the first win. I think I had 40-something shots too the night. So it was like I felt like I could play if I was doing my thing. But it was interesting because that game, the first game against Anaheim, I actually felt awful. And I got a shutout. So that's when the wheels in my head started turning like, okay, if you don't feel well and you just got a shutout, like maybe there's something here. Like you can play pretty well. And the next night in LA, I played really well, and that was a lot more challenging of a game and got another shutout, obviously. And then I feel like by then it was kind of like I had all the confidence and momentum trending our way, and it just kind of kept picking up and going through kind of, I guess, the rest of that Western trip and then back home, obviously.
Yeah, I remember we swept that California trip, which nobody does. Nobody ever sweeps that trip.
Yep.
And then when you went back to back, goose eggs on Anaheim and LA, and I think we went up to San Jose third, if I remember correctly. I'm not exactly sure, but
a 4-2 win at San Jose.
Yeah, exactly. So it was almost nice that you got to do those away from the media, because it would have been drastically different if you had gone back-to-back shutouts, in Ottawa.
Yep. No, I would agree with that. And like, I mean, you go to bed on the West Coast, you wake up at, I don't know, like noon, like the news cycles from the previous night's already kind of like gone if you log on your phone a little bit. And I mean, there was still some, but you'd wake up to texts and everything. But for the most part, I think being on the West Coast kind of helped a little bit, just staying level-headed and kind of helping me kind of figure out like how I go about staying level-headed. Because that was kind of learning it too. Like you're achieving a lot of your kind of childhood goals and stuff. And the ability to sleep after games wasn't the easiest, but luckily I was able to find a way. And I guess just kind of stay between the lines as far as where my head was at.
I will say sitting at the pool at the JW is always nice in LA. That helps you kind of relax. I've
actually never been to the pool there.
What? Oh, it's beautiful. What did you do? You would have had a day off between LA, San Jose. What did you do?
I feel like we went up to San Jose and had a day off.
Oh, maybe you're right. Maybe it was.
We would always fly from LA to San Jose, and then you had a nice day off where you were shopping Santana Row or wherever it might be.
Right.
LA was not a stayover city. Coaches and GMs avoid that as well as they can. That's it. Everybody's down at Santa Monica real fast. So let's get you to San Jose where you can't get anywhere quick.
You only walk on one street.
Yeah, it's so greasy
Exactly.
down by downtown San Jose. It's like, have you guys ever went out downtown San Jose?
No.
I've
I don't
never
even know
gone
where
out
downtown
Santana
San
Row. I
Jose
don't.
is.
Yeah, no.
No.
Santana Row or bust.
The farthest I've been is to the mall at the bottom of Santana Row.
Right. Wander across there.
Yeah. Back then I helped Meth pick a Christmas gift for his now wife.
That's great. All right. I got to log out. I'm going to log out and back in. I got all you guys frozen. I'll be right back. I apologize.
See ya. Okay, so Hammy, and I know you've spoken to Ian Mendes about this in the Athletic article on Monday, I believe. Do you see similarities in this where the teams were roughly the same, 10 points back when Mad Sogard took over? Two goalies that had nearly zero NHL experience, young, and a team that's really not expected to do anything. Does it feel kind of the same?
I'll say this. I thought that you guys were grasping at straws a little bit, trying to create the parallels almost. Like, yeah, there's 12 months out of the year, and yes, we are in the middle of February, and yes, we did have the same save percentage in the American League before we got called up, me and Sogard. But I still thought it was a little bit of a stretch. And then I watched the game the other night when they're down by 2 goals and they tie it and they win a shootout. And then I was like, I have not seen a hockey game that felt more like a game from that run than that game where it's like nothing's going on, goalie's playing well, and then all of a sudden, I guess you win in overtime, that was it. But then the Islanders game too, it's like, I will say they both had eerily similar feelings, but outside of that, it was 2 games, and I don't want anyone to get ahead of themselves or put undue pressure on anyone. It's been fun to watch. I honestly, regardless of Ottawa, one of my favorite things to do is watch goalies make kind of like their NHL debut, play their first game. My favorite thing to watch, see how they deal with things, and so it's been fun to see that. I guess the last 2 games for Ottawa, and I get to watch a lot of hockey, and I've definitely had those games circled on my calendar this week.
So Hammer,
Listen, you cannot come on our show and turn down. You can't turn down the Hamburglar run. You have to be all in. Okay, there's no negativity here.
He's not being negative. He's being honest. Hey, so you watched both those last 2 games by the Sens, Hammer?
Yeah, I've probably watched, give or take, I don't know, maybe nine Sens games. I mean, I kind of flip between games for the most part. If I have one gripe about the league scheduling, it's that every game starts at 7 or 7:30, and there's no in between. Be nice if they broke it up a little bit more so you can flip and not be under intermission. But I try and flip between games. I watch both games though. I think. I mean, there's similarities for sure. So I'm interested, and I'm gonna pay a little bit more attention. But if anything, I'm just happy to see the team win a couple games and kind of give hope that the playoffs are still a possibility. And I mean, it's a team that was great to me, and so obviously I'm going to stay loyal to them and try and track them as much as possible.
Bobby, you good? I just
Sorry, guys. I just popped back in.
Do you see?
Yep.
Okay. Mad Sogard and Kevin Mandolese, do you see or can you tell us what their style is like, and is there any similarity in their game to yours?
Well, I'm not 6'8" like both of them, but I would say if anything, I mean, I'm not going to compare them to my game necessarily, because I think it's pointless when 2 goalies are that big, and I was barely an inch over 6 foot. But I mean, I think this is a good thing, is they're both such big bodies that you don't necessarily have to feel great all the time to still just get hit with the puck. So if they can focus on being in the right spots on the ice, it's going to help them a lot. I thought maybe Kevin's a little bit more athletic. Mads is a little bit more structured, and I don't mean that as a slight to Kevin, but I think maybe he's just more like an athletic and like, I mean, even when he got knocked over the other night, tries throwing one leg up, like that's not something most 5'11" goalies can do. So you can see the athleticism, and I think that's, if there was anything, I think some of the way I played back then was similar to that, where it was just trying to find a way to get a body part in the way. But no, I was very impressed with both, and I've harped on it before. I think for a goalie, the discrepancy between AHL goalie and NHL goalie, I think they draw that line a little too firm, and it should be more of kind of a line in the sand rather than, I guess, written in stone. So it was good to see.
Do you have to be 6'4" to 6'7" now? And we have a board of goaltenders. Ottawa. So right now, Mads Sogard is listed as tying the NHL record along with Ben Bishop at 6'7". They've also had Matt O'Connor, Magnus Hellberg, Anders Nielsen, all at 6'6". So 5 of the top 6 goalies have played for the Ottawa Senators, tallest goalies. Do you need to be this tall to be in the National Hockey League these days?
You don't. Does it help? Yeah, especially if you can move. I mean, the way the game's going, like everyone's turning into tennis player type body. But I'll give you a funny story about what my perception was about needing to be a certain height to get identified by the NHL and all this stuff. Before my last season of college, I've always been basically 6'1", and I'm thinking, how am I going to get a job out of college? All they want are like these 6'3", 200-pound goalies. So I tell our student information director at Bowling Green to change my height and weight on the stat sheet to 6'3", 215, and that's the end of it. My first phone call with Rick Wamsley after they signed me. Hey, welcome to the team. Like, we're really excited to have you, but I got to ask you one thing. You're not 6'3". And I said, Wamra, I'm not 6'3", and I'm not 215 either, but I thought it was the only way I could get someone to maybe highlight my name before the game and be like, oh, wow, he's got potential. But no, me and Wamra have joked about that since. And
wow.
I mean, it's the reality that, like, people are going to write you off if you're 5'10", unless you have crazy numbers and stuff like that, when reality, you might be just as good as a guy that's 6'5", but he's probably going to get more chances or drafted higher just because he is taller. It's the reality of it.
Yep. Very much
interesting.
So.
Yeah, because I think Mads Sogard was listed at 6'8" 2 years ago, and now he's down listed at 6'7". There's a few of those that seem to change their height. Steve Martins, I think you played with, Yorkie, was always listed about 5'10", and he might have been 5'5".
Yeah, that was his nickname. We called him Pumbaa from the Lion King, the little warthog there. Just a little midget. He had the short arms. Yeah, one of those guys with the short arms.
Now
Bobby
we just
always
pissed off a whole. Now you pissed off a whole new crew. I can't say that anymore.
Yeah. No, Hammy. Before we go, Chris Neal's having his jersey retired on Friday. You played a lot of games with him, obviously. Do you have any Chris Neal stories you would like to share?
I think most of them are already out there. Maybe the one that isn't, and this is like, I guess, speaks to Nealer's humor. That's like basically so juvenile almost, but like he makes himself laugh the hardest, and that's, I guess, the best part. We did the skills comp the one year, and Phaneuf had like an 88-mile-an-hour slap shot. So Nealer shows up early the next day, gets the glue gun out, brings in a muffin, and just glues a muffin to Dion's stick. And Nealer's like beside himself laughing. Like, thinks it's the funniest thing, and he has to bring it, like the stick room's like in the corner, like where you can't see it. So he's tapping one guy, like going around the room, like, hey, you got to come see this. And everyone's like, oh, haha. And Nealer's just dying every time. But I would say that's kind of like his locker room humor for the most part, that other than everything else, like what he did for his teammates and how hard he tried in practice every day, which is just, I mean, he's the first guy to lead the drill every single day for probably 20 years.
Oh,
You
and you're
don't
just
see
going,
that very
Nealer,
often.
Nealer, go third, man. You're going the wrong way again. Go third. But I could just picture him with a muffin taped to a stick. Going, hey, what do you think? Is this good? Yeah. I love that guy. I love that guy.
Just killed himself.
It would be funny, like
I
think it's a new trend now where like if a guy's playing a 1,000th game, like everyone, like the Jamie Benn thing, everyone wore the hair the same way, no helmet, impersonate the guy in warm up. An entire team impersonating Nealer during warm up, or like even his off ice warm up, would be one of the funniest things probably of my career. If we could just impersonate his off ice warm up, everyone.
He'd fight us all. He'd fight every single guy one by one that tried to follow him. That stretching routine, the tape that's in his mouth, that's down to his shin pads. You're like, what? You're just chewing laces on tape. He's the chewing on Renfrew Pro plug. God, I worked him in.
Would always stand in the hallway like 10 minutes before warm up even started. He was always the guy outside in the hallway, just standing there. I hope the coaches meeting was over.
There'd be 40 minutes on the clock. He was fully dressed. 26 minutes to warm up. So he's fully dressed with his bucket on. And all right, moving on because eventually we got to get him on, and he's just going to assault me for an hour. So we got to move on. Let him.
All right, fair enough. Andrew, I appreciate your time. You've always been so good to us, and congrats on the career and the retirement and all that you've been able to accomplish. And the Hamburglar run will always be something special for all of us here in Ottawa. We appreciate it. So enjoy Florida and enjoy the golf game if it ever gets better.
Thank you. No, anytime. It's always fun. I appreciate it.
Good to see you, bud.
Take care. There goes Andrew Hammond.
Thanks,
the Hamburglar, who on this day in 2015 was started the Hamburglar run as Robin Lehner and Clark MacArthur collide in the crease in Carolina. Like Bobby, when did the players start believing in Andrew Hammond?
Actually, pretty quickly. It was only a game or two that we were like, maybe this miraculous run won't continue or play. But it was a game or two in. We were, I shouldn't say that, 2 or 3 games in, where we're like, okay, he's got some game back there, and he's confident, and he's feeling it a little bit. I don't think anybody predicted even at that point how good it was going to be, but we understood that we could make mistakes pretty quickly, and that's a big thing for a team, that you don't have to live on that edge of mistake equals loss versus no mistakes equals win. So he gave us confidence really, really fast.
And I loved what he said there, Bobby, because you know as well as I do, so many goalies are weirdos, right? And they got all these superstitions. You can't talk to them. So the only way for you guys to get as hot as you did was to kind of not care for a while, right? Like you just play.
Yep.
And you got this guy that's just, you can talk to him, you can joke around with him, go for beers with him. He's playing golf on the road. Like, this is awesome for a goaltender. So
you're just like,
that had to help, right?
Nuts? Yeah.
Like
it was huge. Yeah. Comes in, first guy to have a sauna beer after the game and just hang out and, do his thing. Because goalies just never really did that. Never really have. He was just one. I mean, everybody on the team is one of the guys, but he embodied that. So he was just embracing the run. It was really, really fun for us to be around him during the whole thing. It's
okay. Goalies are never one of the guys. You can admit it. There's a couple of quick things I want to get through.
Well, it's not true. That's the ones that act like that. The boys love playing for them, and there's not a lot of them. I'm not saying goalies are bad guys, but I remember playing with Chris Osgood when he was a rookie. Same thing. He'd sit in the room. He'd make fun of guys before the game. He'd tease guys. He was fantastic.
Yep.
And no, I understand what you're saying. They never seem to be the ones that you see hanging out with a group. And I guess Patty Lalime was one of those guys. I think he was always hanging out with a few Vanner, Whitey. Okay, quickly, I got a couple topics before we get out of here. One is Travis Hamonic had a 3-minute and 15-second shift in overtime. I can't look up shift charts of you two, so I don't know what the longest you guys have had. But Yorkie, you're a D guy in the National Hockey League. How do you get through that shift?
Great question. I didn't even realize it till you sent me that stat on Hamonic. You're in survival mode. You're basically in survival mode and trying to stay in the middle of the ice, not overextend. Legs are burning, lungs are burning, and it's like it's I'm not going to say it's life or death, but in your mind it feels like that. So yeah, I've had a few like that, and it's not fun. It's you are battling your mind, your legs, and just praying for it to be praying for it not to get scored against, and then get to the bench and get a little oxygen tank going.
I got nothing to add to that because every part of that's completely true. You're just sucking wind out of the tailpipe at the end of it. You're going, oh my god, yeah, just stay in the middle, make them shoot through me.
I went and looked up.
Bobby, sorry, go ahead.
No, that's all right. I was just saying, I looked up the last 4 games to see how it seemed like there was a lot of shifts that were over 2 minutes in the Islander game. There was 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 times guys played over 2 minutes, including Shane Pinto was 2:14.
Yeah.
And then the Calgary game, there was just Thomas Chabot had 2. Edmonton, there was 3 times. Chabot with 2 of them, and then Montreal, there was 4 other incidents. That just goes back the last 4 games. I no longer 2 minutes used to be like the death now, but it doesn't seem that way anymore.
It doesn't when you're chasing the game at the end and you got a guy like Chabby with a VO2 max that's through the roof. So you take those for what they are. He was probably played the last 3 minutes of the game, basically, right? But they were in the offensive zone the whole time against Calgary, and then whatever it might be. So 2 minutes. I mean, 2 minutes is still a long time. But if you have a couple stops mixed in over those 2 minutes, like Chabby can do that. You don't want Pintos of the world in the bed, and like that one shift they got hemmed against the Islanders. Like, you don't want those. Those are the ones that are an anomaly, and you're just hoping that, one of them just ices the puck and takes a break or something like that. But they got hemmed in. They gave up 5-6 shots in that one shift alone. So their numbers are grossly inflated. But I always look at guys that play the power play are going to have longer averages out of the gate, especially like a Brady or a Chabby that are sometimes on both units out there. So I don't worry about it. The only time I worry about it is when you got guys that are clearly above the 45-second threshold night in and night out. Then you got to bring them back down and talk to them. But it's pretty consistent across the board in the NHL now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. You ever play for a coach, Bobby, that puts the shift length, posts it after the game up on the board? Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Here you go.
Yeah.
Here you go,
like
boys.
if you're 1 second over 43 or 44 average, you're getting a talking to. And I'm like, I played on the power play. We were in their zone for 1:40. What do you want me to do? Nothing. So beat it.
And like people talk about, I remember we're talking about Claude Giroux's shift length. Like, why are Claude Giroux's shifts? Well, because Claude goes out for the penalty kill face-off, wins the draw, and gets off the ice. So that counts as a shift where it's 5 seconds. So you do that 5 times in a game, it's going to bring down your shift average. So that's why you'll see Claude's shift length really low because of those face-offs.
Yep.
And by the way, Claude, I looked because he had one game, the Edmonton game, he had a 2:13 shift, but in the Islander game, I think he was on average right around 45 seconds. So, because I'm used to him trying to, I guess, be on the ice for offensive or defensive draws and all that. Quickly, couple other things before we get out of here, including the lock of the day and the Chicago Blackhawks coming to town. This show is always happily presented by BEI, Bonisher Excavating Inc., heavy civil general contractor, equipment rentals, aggregate topsoil sales, concrete framework, all kinds of stuff, including aggregate sales. Give them a call. Also, they're hiring for the spring. They're looking for all kinds of different positions. 613-432-1120. Go to bonisherexcavating.com. BEI, helping to shape the Ottawa Valley. And we will get to the Montana's winner in 1 second. But lock of the day. So Chicago's in town, boys. And we saw that they got spanked against the Leafs. It didn't look good. They are struggling of late. Will Patrick Kane be in the lineup is the question I have for you two to decide. Hang on 1 sec, Alex.
Will Kane
you guys
be in the lineup?
Patrick Kane? Yeah.
No. I do not believe that. No, I don't see that.
What day's deadline day?
March 3rd.
So why are we thinking he won't be in the lineup?
Well, everybody's getting held out as of right now, right? They've already made the
Yeah,
Tarasenko
yeah.
trade. Jacob
Yeah.
Chikrin's being held out. They're talking. I would suspect it just seems now it's getting earlier because teams want to get players into their lineup sooner as opposed to later. And we're starting to see all the talk. And it appears that Patrick Kane wasn't overly happy with the Tarasenko move to the New York Rangers. I think he really wanted to be part of that trade.
Yeah, I'm changing my answer only because for some reason I didn't recognize that there was another week and a half. Like I was missing a week and a half in my mind, and I thought we were really close because I've seen all the other trade related scratches. So I apologize, but I have to say yes, he will be in the lineup. I think he will be in the lineup right up until the very last minute. No, that's all right. You know
Really?
what? Fuck it. Yeah, it's all right. Yeah.
He's only got 9 goals. 35 points. I think he's second on the team in scoring behind Max Domi. And it's the lowest point per game of his career, if I'm not mistaken. Like he's not the same. And I know he's battling an injury. I just think mentally he's checked out.
Well,
but I don't know.
tough.
Like you know him, Bobby.
It's hard. It's hard to eat when you're full, and then you're going through that, right? I think he's just got to get out of there, and he'll be the same guy he was, and be surrounded by players that want to win and have the same mindset. I just don't see him as a guy that wants to ride off into the sunset, but I could be wrong.
Yeah, he still has the goods. He's still got it. It's when you lose that much, and he's in a market too where probably a little tougher to hide in a Chicago. Not that he wants to hide versus you're playing in Anaheim or Nashville where you're getting questioned all the time. I think once he gets out, I agree with Bob. I think he'll flourish, especially if he. Good players everybody's got pride, but you put him in a spot where he's got a chance to win again. I think you'll see a big jump in his production, but I think he's going to play too. Once it gets close to the deadline, maybe they hold him out. But I see no reason why he doesn't play. It's not like the Arizona Coyotes, what they're doing right now with Chikrin. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Like just trade the guy already. Like enough's enough. Right. Like, come on.
I don't even want to talk about it.
Well, you went through that, Bobby.
I'm so tired of it.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Well, and that became the talk with Stoner, right? And then Duchesne and Dzingel being held out, especially in the Chicago game, I think was the one where everybody got held out. It just seemed to be, all right, we're just now waiting for everybody to move.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a horrible way to play and to go to the rink. So I see him as a guy that's going to play right up until the very end, though.
Yeah, me too.
Okay.
Me too.
All right, now time for lock of the day, which is against Chicago. Now, here's some notes for you before you make your picks and selections. The Sens have not beat Chicago in the last 8 meetings, 0-5-3. The last win was December 20th, 2016, when one Bobby Ryan opened the scoring in that game, and Mike Condon was in goal. Patrick Kane, by the way, 28 points during an 11-game point streak versus Ottawa. 8 goals, 28 points, 9 multi-point games. However, Chicago, as I said, 2-6-1 in their last 9 games. So, and Ottawa, by the way, 6-1 in their last 7. You're both losers at the moment, so I don't know who to pick first. But I'm going to allow Bobby to try to get to 500 first. So, Bobby, who do you think is going to win this hockey game?
I am taking the Sens. I'm not on the wagon with these 2 goalies yet, but I've liked the way that they should have lost both those games. I think we can say that, and there will be a letdown game here soon. Don't think it's this one. I'm going to take the Sens.
I love how Wally's got the heading under his name now too. After 5, he's had 5 bets. He's 3-2. Oh, just
incredible.
Jumping in there. Nothing makes sense right now. Nothing makes. Come on. I'm still the smartest man in hockey. Nothing makes sense. I feel like I should pull an opposite George Costanza here. Remember, it was opposite George on Seinfeld, Wally. Just whatever you think, go the opposite. So Ottawa should win this game. They're at home. Chicago's awful. They're talking about trading Patrick Kane, but I don't know how they lose this game. And I'm with you. I don't care about who's in nets. So I'm gonna do the Andrew Hammond here. I'm just not gonna think about things. I'm just gonna go by instinct. I'm going Ottawa too. Ottawa's gonna beat Chicago. So put me down for a Sennies win.
This is an interesting one because
Here you go, Wally.
Ottawa's on a roll, clearly. Chicago's got to win a game at some point, you think, right? Like they've been awful of late. Luke Richardson returns home. I think this is his first game as Chicago's head coach in Ottawa. Yeah, I'm sure.
Go ahead, take Chicago.
I'm going to go with I'm going to take the Ottawa Senators. I can't.
Chicken.
They give me no reason to pick against them at the moment.
I agree.
They're just, you know what? And they're scoring 5-on-5 goals.
Yep.
Yes, they do.
Special teams are good.
So
should be an easy pick.
They've only got one power play goal in the last 2 games, I think.
Yeah.
At home.
Yep.
Retiring Neeler's jersey. There's going to be a buzz in the building.
Oh, that tends to be a go against the home team usually.
Yeah, well, go. You can change. You can change your pick.
No, I'm not changing it. But Ottawa will have a slow start. I think Chicago will score first, though. By the way, the over-under, just for little shits and giggles, is 6.5.
Whoa.
I'm taking under. I'm only taking under because of the slow start and the Neeler event, and there will be a longer feeling out process and guys getting back to normal and things like that. I just think it's an under game.
Very wise. Yorkie?
We doing over under too, or I thought we were just taking a winner here.
Yeah, we're just
all right.
Just pick the over under.
We're just spitballing here. You know what? I think the goalies will be. There's no way. Whoever they start, whether it's Sogard or Mandalese, they're not doing what they do. Well, who knows? Maybe they will. I'm going over. I'll take the over in this one. I see lots of goals coming in this one. Yep, lots of goals coming.
I think it's under. By the way, the goaltenders the last 2 games, a .941 save percentage combined. They've had 85. So Ottawa's been outshot 85-59 in these games. They do need to find a way to play some better defense. You're right. They didn't deserve to win probably either one of those games, but that's what gets exciting. Were you nervous for Kevin Mandalese in the shootout?
I wouldn't say I was nervous. No. No, I thought, no, you know what? When Hammond said something earlier, it registered with me that he's more of an athletic goalie, and those are harder goalies to beat in a shootout. So I don't think I was watching that at all, to be honest with you.
Okay.
I knew they were going to win as soon as it was tied. Even though Islanders can't score.
Really?
They can't
really
score.
Can't.
They got so much pressure on them right now. They made the trade for Horvat. I watched Barzal play, Bobby. I'm watching this guy play, and I'm like, how does he not get 100 points? But it just seems he possesses the puck the whole time, and not a lot happens after that. Like he has it all the time.
Yeah.
But they're I don't know. They're a funny team. They're a funny team. They're a good team. Like if you look at their possession and what they do in that game, like they should have won that by a large margin. But I don't know. It was weird.
The one thing about they get in.
If they do, because they play playoff hockey, right? They play playoff hockey. But I was just talking about Mandalese. He was reminding me of Hasek. He was lying on the ground. Hammer talked about sticking the leg up in the air. Like it was. I remember he went to slide across once. He didn't quite slide, but the guy hit him with the puck. Like it was uncanny, some of those saves he was making. But you just had a feeling Ottawa was going to win. That everything was going their way, and get it to a shootout. Stützle 5-hole, and then Batherson. Like they're so. I don't know, Bob. When you do those shootouts, it just seems Ottawa's skilled guys.
Yeah,
it's not that they don't care. It's just they're going in. They got so much confidence when they're shooting.
They do. Very, very gifted shootout players on Ottawa. Guys that can beat you in a number of different ways too.
Yeah.
Why? Okay, Bobby, why do they seem so slow? I always thought if you're going to try and score shootout goals, speed is always a factor. And Stützle and Batherson were fairly kind of like you. That's kind of just going in.
Well, I always kind of figured I would start to the puck a little faster and then slow down kind of at the blue line it's just to get the goalie on his heels instead of on the balls of his feet, right? Goalies want to react by pushing off that. And for me, if I could come in fast and slow it down, just like I wasn't dramatic about it. Like a lot of guys now go wide and it's harder for a goalie to set his angles and things like that. But I always wanted to come in with a little bit of speed and then slow down and then kind of assess where he was standing and things like that. So there's a method to it, but these guys too, they just, I think both of them in particular have 3 or 4 different ways they can beat you, and they want to make a decision as they get to the top of the circle which way it's going to be.
Do you love the attention of the crowd and everybody's focused on you at that moment?
I never thought much about it. I got to be honest with you. Never really did. I would say that a lot of players don't, unless the game's on your stick or anything like that. Like I just think it's you can separate the two very easily, and I was always able to do that.
Interesting. Okay. Finally, before we go, we have our contest winner for the Montana's $100 gift card. Go to Montana's Barbecue and Bar. Download their app if you want. You can also skip the dishes with them. It's Mondays, half price wings. Tuesdays is $5 tacos, and Wednesdays is all you can eat ribs. The winner in the $100 gift card from Twitter, I should say, at Ryan Racine. That is our winner at Ryan Racine EDU. So you'll be contacted shortly by our multi-staff member. I don't know. We have lots of people. They'll let you know and they'll get you the gift card right away. Boys, enjoy the weekend. We will see you guys next week. I know, Bobby, you're traveling, but we'll see you at some point. Guys, take care. Have a great weekend. Thanks for watching the show, everybody.
You too, guys. Take care. Have a good one.
Coming in Hot is brought to you by Botano.ca. Please hit that like button and subscribe to our channel to never miss an episode.